So I want to give you an update what's going on with the situation in ICE as people are protesting ICE and also calling for impeachments. This is first Minneapolis, Minnesota. It says large protests forming at Minneapolis Hilton where ICE is reported to be staying. And essentially everyone's out. You saw the shark, you saw Pokemon. That's a frog with an accordion, and you got various people bringing instruments. I saw flutes and drums and all kinds of stuff. And there's people from all walks of life showing up to stand up for the Constitution and for the country. I want to show you a bit more here. This is actually a different part. And in fact, you can see it's really cold out. It's snowing. And it basically shows you that people are coming out and making their voices heard, again, to defend the Constitution, stand up for their neighbors, no matter what the weather is or what the conditions are. This is more. This is the frog and the shark and the Pokemon. And someone brought a drum set out, and I think this is probably right in front of the hotel where the ICE is staying. This is more. This is actually Fox News is running it because there's so many people showing up. It says, moments ago, anti-ICE crowd gathers at a building in Minneapolis. And one of the signs reads, "We've done it before, we'll do it again." That means protest. And again, we're talking about protecting our neighbors and standing up for the Constitution. This is happening in Portland, Oregon. So this is my hometown. There was a recent ICE shooting there also. So it's both Oregon and Minnesota. And again, people are showing up. You can see this. The protests are happening now. This is Representative Kelly, and she's calling for the impeachment of Kristi Noem, who is in charge of the ICE and the DHS. And listen to what she says here on TV.
That we cannot stay on the sidelines. We need to use every tool in the toolbox. We need to give the public hope that an incompetent leader just can't come into communities and actually terrorize communities, traumatize communities. I represent, part of the Chicagoland area, and I saw what happened there, what's still happening there. It's morally wrong. It's economically wrong. It's hurting small businesses. People aren't going to work. They're not sending their kids to school.
And she's calling for the impeachment of Noem. This is also Representative Stansbury. She's calling for impeachment of Noem also.
I rise today on the House floor with a heavy heart for the family and the community of Renee Nicole Good. My heart is heavy not just because of the unabashed and violent killing that happened last night by an ICE agent in Minneapolis, because I'm also sad for our country to see the Vice President of the United States and officials impugn a young woman who leaves behind her community and an orphan child. This is not our country. Shame on you. To those of you that are continuing to provide cover for this lawless, unconstitutional, abusive, and violent administration, shame on you. I will be joining to file articles of impeachment against Secretary Noem. Enough is enough.
And I think it's really important for you to know, and I know people always say, you might be in a community where you feel like you're alone, and maybe everyone around you is crazy, you feel like, or you might have a family member that sees the world differently than you. I see it in the comments, guys, and I just want you to know that you're not alone, and you're safe to express your opinion here. You can see there's several people out there protesting. There's representatives calling for impeachment. So just, again, you are not alone, and I want to show you some more. This is also what Homeland Security is saying, and just look how whacked out these people are. This is their messaging. We'll have our home again. Bombers and cowboys. And it's just so ludicrous. I think the country's way bigger and way more diverse than just bombers and cowboys. And I guess if you want to live in that world where we bomb everyone and run around in horses and cowboy hats, right? All the symbols that represents, you can, but there's a lot of people that disagree. This is the Portland police chief, and have a listen to what he has to say. It's really powerful.
I want to speak for just a moment specifically to my Latino community. It saddens me that we even have to qualify these remarks, because I understand, or at least have attempted to understand through your voices, your concern, your fear, your anger, This information in no way is meant to disparage or to condone or support or agree with any of the actions that occurred yesterday. But it is important that we stay committed to the rule of law, that we stay committed to the facts, that we stay a trustworthy and legitimate police department for all of Portlanders.
And I just think it's so important to hear different points of view and different sides. And, there's so many people out there that just want to do the right thing, uphold the law, uphold the Constitution. And that's why I'm showing you again, you guys are not alone. This is actually Stephen Colbert. He says, the message from this administration is clear. Only they determine the truth. And when their forces come to your city, obey or die. And if you die, you clearly didn't obey. This should be alarm bell for the entire country, right? And it's important to have different voices because different voices speak to different people differently, right? Some people might respond to the police chief because, for me, I look at that and I'm just like, man, that's my hometown. And that's what I want. I want officials to protect the public, right? To look after everyone and do the right thing. Or you may be, the kind of person who's like watches the talk shows and you're like, Stephen Colbert is speaking up like, hey, I don't want to live in a fascist regime. I want, freedom and democracy for all of us. There's different points of view. This is a political cartoon. It says, stop calling us fascists, right? As the ICE agent is beating down people. I think it's important that everyone has a different point of view on this stuff and a different way to express their feelings. And when I was going through this stuff today, the first thing that went through my mind is just the richness and the beauty of diversity in the USA. And that is the country's strength to be able to have all these different points of view. This is also, I wanted to show it to you guys. This is another angle of the shooting because some people asked me about, did I see it? And I did see it. This is, I believe, is the phone footage from the ICE agent. So this should be Jonathan Ross's footage. You can actually see the reflection of him holding the phone as he's recording Renee Good before he killed her, basically, as you can see. There she is right there. They're talking. He's, recording everything, getting the license plate and things. And I don't know, the Trump people say this seems to make it seem like that the car is going to hurt him or something like that. But I don't know. It looks the same as what we saw before. But I'm just showing it to you guys because people did ask, and that looks like she was going to get in the car, as you can see there. And then Renee started to drive and then she was shot. And that's the footage. So if you guys see anything different than what you saw before from this other angle, you can let me know. But I just want to show you, I did see it. I do want to say, though, that people are protesting, and this is bringing out all kinds of people. So listen to this.
I am a huge patriot. I love America. I love the United States. I'm very sad at what's happening to the community. So,
you're very sad what's happening in the community. I can tell you're very emotional about it as well.
I'm emotional about my country. I have a son in the Army. I'm very proud of our country. I'm ashamed of what's happening right now.
So even though you support the country and you support the military, you're ashamed of what happened yesterday. And
absolutely, and I'm ashamed of ICE. I think it's extremely un-American. Basically above the law actions by people who I think probably are not trained the way that they should be. It's just super unfortunate.
So do you think that what happened yesterday is the straw that broke the camel's back in this community?
I would say it's been building. I think just the rhetoric with the governor and the president and Chrissy Nolan, it's just been building. But for sure, I would say it's tipped over.
Yeah.
So the reason why I'm showing you this is you can see, so something like this probably is not, typical the person who would come out and protest. And the way that the Trumpers always try to say is, oh, everyone's all paid and they're just a bunch of radicals. But this guy's like, my son's in the Army. I love this country. I love America. And I hate to see what's happening, right? And you can even see the sign right behind the gentleman's like, love our neighbors. And so I think it's important to show these kind of things so you see that, one, you're not alone. And you can see that it's different Americans from all facets of life are coming out to speak out, to defend the Constitution and to protect their neighbors. Have a listen to more what he has to say.
I'm here, and I haven't been here in the last month, so.
That's what I was going to say. It brought someone like you out who doesn't typically protest.
Correct.
Why come out front and center?
This is breaking my heart. Some of these guys are proud Americans and trying to do their job. Others are young and probably not, maybe misled. But
What did you think when they surged?
America.
What did you think when they surged into the crowd and detained those people?
I really hope that both sides of us can be peaceful and not resort to this intimidation stuff. As an American, I have a right to protest. They have a right to uphold the law. I don't want to break the law. They must let me protest. But it honestly breaks my heart.
Would you be here more than one day? You think you would come back, or is this just a one-off for someone like you?
I don't know what to say to that. It's possible. Of course, I hope that the heat could be turned down on both sides.
And I think that's a reasonable way to look at it. And I think there's a lot of Americans who are kind of like that. And eventually there'll come a turning point. They're just like, enough's it up. I got to get out and make my voices heard. I want to show you some more. This is actually in Pennsylvania, the local DA. Have a listen to what he has to say.
If any law enforcement agent, any ICE agent, is going to come to Philly to commit crimes, then you can get the F out of here. Because if you do that here, I will charge you with those crimes. You will be arrested. You will stand trial. You will be convicted, whether it's in state or federal court. It's my office prosecuting it. That's how the law works. And you will do your time because Donald Trump cannot pardon you for a state court conviction. Do you hear me, ICE agents? Do you hear me, National Guard? Do you hear me, military? You're going to jail if you commit crimes in the city of Philadelphia. You will be accountable. The law applies to all of you. And I know that there are honest, decent, moral law enforcement officers out there by the bushel, including in ICE. This is not for you. This is for any one of your colleagues who thinks they are above the law.
And I think that's a good way to put it, right? Just be fair on this stuff. Speak plainly. You break the law, Trump is not going to protect you, right? I think that's a great way to put it. Let me show you some more. This is actually the DA then in Minnesota. I think it's a DA. It's actually, I can tell you, it's the Hennepin County Attorney General. So that's a better way to say it. The Hennepin County Attorney General.
While I respect the FBI's process, our community's expectations are much different in terms of transparency. This community expects to understand what the evidence is and the justification for any decision that might be made. To that end, I cannot overstate the importance of a local investigation, or at least access to the federal investigation by the BCA. Without it, we will not have the ability to be transparent with our community about the results of the expectation, or, as I said, any decision that might come of the review. And let me be clear, we have no preconceived opinion on what the evidence will show. Making a charging or decline decision in an officer-involved case requires us to evaluate the evidence in the context of complicated legal issues. For that reason, we cannot reach a conclusion about any outcome here. Our goal must be to ensure that a thorough investigation is completed at the local level so that our community can have transparency.
And this is actually really important. I know there's people upset on different sides of this particular situation, but this is really important. Rule of law, follow the Constitution, look at the evidence. Facts do matter. And I know the Trumpers and those kind of things, they try to say, just listen to my crazy tweets or whatever. and he lies like nonstop, and you get stuck in this world where like, gee, maybe facts don't matter anymore. But no, they do. Facts do matter, and there's a lot of people still that want to uphold the law and, again, live in a world of the Constitution. This is from Senator Chris Van Hollen. He says, Nome's DHS just got caught lying about a shooting in Maryland after an investigation by local authorities. We can't trust a word they say. Another reason why Minnesota authorities must join the investigation into the killing of Renee Good. We need accountability, not a cover-up. And this is essentially what local authorities are now all calling for. So say, be it in Portland, Oregon, or in Minneapolis, Minnesota, right? To make sure that the rule of law is followed and that we do this properly. And I also want to show you this, and just giving you the full facts as much as I know. They've identified, I believe, the people who were shot in Portland. It says here, this is from KATU's, it's the local Portland news. We're learning more about the two people shot Thursday by U.S. Customs and Borders Protection agent in southeast Portland, with DHS and Portland police confirming they had two ties to the Tren de Aragua criminal group. So they might have been. And this is part where I don't hide, I just show you guys, what it is. Now, I do want to make clear, though, it doesn't necessarily mean they deserve to be shot, right? Because in any of these reports, I haven't heard anything to where people are shooting ICE and ICE shoots back and that sort of thing. They always try to make the case, oh, they used their car as a weapon or whatever. But in these situations, the facts do matter. I want to see the video for myself or whatever evidence that they have. And I think for any of this in these sensitive topics, do understand the facts. That's why I think it's always important to talk about this stuff. So that's what's going on, and that's what people are saying. And just understand you are not alone, and more people are speaking out. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.